Hey, this is Matt once again. We're back to the video, and this was a paid request. For those interested, by the way, thank you to the people who have sent in requests. I really appreciate it. If you want to send in a paid request, PayPal, and particularly the Families and Friends option, is usually the best bet. Those links are down below in the info box. Or I have a Patreon as well. It could be review, topic, reaction, re-review, randomness, out of blueness, what have you. Now, the Iron Claw, I've heard some good things about, and I was curious about it. I mean, it's A24, but usually my issue with them is with their horror movies. When they do other stuff, or they release other stuff, like Uncut Gems or The Disaster Artist, I ended up liking them. And this, I was definitely curious about because it's based on the Von Erich clan, which I heard about them first from this DVD here. The Triumph and Tragedy of World Class Championship Wrestling. And I remember watching this and going, God damn, like, that's what happened to one family? Holy shit. But the Von Erichs, their dad was Fritz Von Erich. Well played here by Holt McCallany. Good actor. I've seen him in other stuff. Who he would do these matches. He would use this finishing move called the Iron Claw, where he would get here and there's like these pressure points to squeeze to make you submit. And he has in the movie four kids. There was a fifth one, Jad Jr., who died when he was a kid, that he electrocuted, and here he has four kids: Kevin Von Erich, Mike, Terry Von Erich, and David. I'll just say off the bat, I really did enjoy this film. I thought it was heartfelt. I thought it was very well directed. I thought by the end I got a bit misty-eyed. One line in particular, which I'll mention at the end of the review. I thought Zac Efron did a wonderful job in the lead, and he got in amazing shape for the role. The wrestling scenes I thought were well done. They definitely felt old school. Like the way it was, the lighting and the way the hits sounded, the way the movements were, felt like old school wrestling. And you definitely get a sense of the love these brothers had for each other. And like a few people have said, if you didn't know anything, you would think this would be made up. But the fact that so much tragedy befell one family is heartbreaking because of how true it is. Now, before getting into the details, because you have scenes of the 1979 Sportatorium, you have scenes of Zac Efron's character Kevin going against what was the first thing he went up against? Like him and David go up against Gino and Bruiser Brody. There's a six-man tag that involves the Freebirds. There's Kevin versus Harley Race. Ric Flair, which I'll get to that in a bit. Jesus Christ, the Ric Flair in this. The worst part of the movie. Jesus Christ. But it does give that sense of the old times, where just the way it was filmed, the way it looked, the way it sounded, some of the songs used, like Terry Von Erich's theme was Tom Sawyer, by Rush. So some nice musical choices throughout it, and it was also respectful. And certain directorial choices that were interesting to be made. I know I'm being all over the place, but I'll get to that in a minute. My issues with the film, one, the Ric Flair, the guy who plays Ric Flair is the worst fucking guy they could have chosen, because he looked nothing like Ric Flair, and more so, he sounded nothing like Ric Flair. I mean, you might as well cast me as Ric Flair and put a fucking wig on me. You might as well. Let me tell you something. Woo! As shitty as I did it is how shitty he did it. And I know the guy's like, "Hey, I'm sorry, it wasn't an impersonation. I apologize." I'm like, uh, "Yeah, you're the worst part of the movie. Sorry, dude." The other thing is, part of me wonders if this would have been better, and it's weird for me to say this because I'm usually the opposite of things. They was longer. I kind of wish it was a longer movie, or if this was like a mini series, because it felt like there were gaps in the story. Now, granted, it's being told from Kevin Von Erich's point of view, but it just there would have been nice to see more interactions between him and Terry Von Erich, or like there's certain gaps here and there that I think could have really let certain elements, certain events breathe for a bit. Because there's so many years and so many things to talk about and such. It's 2 hours, but still a short enough amount of time that again I think a longer version of the movie would have benefited, or like maybe like a limited 5-6 episode series. But another thing is they leave out a brother, Chris. The director says, well, it's another tragic event, and it's hard to fit that also into the movie. But at the same time, this is based on a real event. These are real people, and you leave out a brother, and the whole story is about brothers. I don't think there's no excuse for that. I'm sorry. I mean, I get it. You need your film to be 2 hours. Trust me, I get that. I've complained many times about films that are 2.5, 3 hours long, but this would have been a good reason to have that running time, not John Wick 4 or fucking Avengers Endgame. This would have made sense. And to take out the brother Chris is a bit fucked up, because it's like, oh, that brother didn't exist. Kind of a weird way to honor his memory that, wow, they made a movie of us and I don't exist. It's a bit fucked up. With that said, though, as a movie as is, I like the way the wrestling scenes were shot. I like how sometimes you see the ring and you just see, like, it's so far away and you see the crowd, you barely see the crowd, you see people in the ring. It's a very artistic choice. And you tell these guys train to make it look as good as possible in the wrestling ring. Or you get the dynamic between the brothers. Like I said, I wish we could have seen more of that. But you get the idea how Kevin seems to be the chosen one, but he can't quite put a promo out. It's like, if you think it's easy, you do it. But being playful about it. Even when he's fighting Harley Race, and he wins, but by DQ, and he's trying to talk. He can't get the words quite out, but then David's able to do the promo and get people riled up. And you tell that the father, they don't make Fritz into a mustache twirling villain. That way it doesn't come off as hokey. But you also get the idea that this is a guy that cares for his sons, means well for his sons, but at the same time, he's still concentrating on that belt because he never won a belt. He never won the NWA title belt. And you tell he's kind of making his sons compete against each other for the dad's affection. And you can kind of see, but the brothers still remain intact and still care for each other. Terry Von Erich with the discus for the Olympics, but that was for the Olympics that was going to be in Moscow, and the United States says, nope, we're not going to be going there because we're opposed to what Russia's doing. So now Terry can't go to the Olympics, so he's got to go back home. That's what I mean. I wish there was a bit more interactions. Like Kevin and Terry Von Erich, they barely talk to each other throughout the film. Like there's a couple times But I felt like this is a movie that should have had a bit more in-depth conversations between the brothers. There's little spurts in between, to be fair. There's a nice scene in the bathroom where David's sick and Kevin is trying to talk with him while Kevin's been married. Uh, Terry at one point gets into a motorcycle accident and then he loses his foot, so he needs this prosthesis. And so Kevin tells him, "Listen, calm down. Let's take it easy." "No, come on, I want to do it." "Oh, you want to do it? Then okay, fine. Get up then, since you want to do it so badly. Come on, man. Come on, Terry." And I see you still see the bond between these guys, and just the bond of the brothers, the tragedy that befell them. It does kind of mess with the timeline of reality, where, like in the movie and in the spoilers, I would say if the story at all intrigued you, it's absolutely worth a watch. I would say it's the best film of the year because I think it has a good heart to it. It's very well directed. And again, the ending got me misty. And if a film's able to do that, then it did its job fairly well. So, spoilers. Fuck, what was I about to say? There's a bit gap where well, actually, David is going to fight Ric Flair for the title. He dies in Japan. And that's the one I was saying about the director. Like, he does these interesting things where we don't see the people die. It's kind of more so from Kevin's point of view, where he's told that his brother's dead. Or he finds a letter of one. Or he hears a gunshot. So we're with Kevin and how his point of view and how he experienced these things. We don't see Terry get in the motorcycle accident. It's him riding, cut to, he wakes up, and then we see a wide shot where he's missing a foot and he's on crutches. So you get the idea. So it was kind of interesting where he doesn't want to show it because these are real people and it'd be kind of icky to see them really die on camera, but at the same time you get the gist of it as well. But when Terry fights Ric Flair, which you see that just on the TV, you don't actually see the match. He gets home with the title, and then he immediately goes on a motorcycle ride and gets in his accident. From what I understand, that's not how it happened in real life. There was a span of time where that happened. And they show a little bit of Terry Von Erich doing drugs. But from what I understand in real life, that was a lot more to what led to him doing what he did later in life. As well as the possibility he might have go to jail. And that's never brought up in the movie, that he might go to jail. But like I said, I know I'm going all over the place, but it's just... What I enjoyed about it was Zac Efron's performance. I was with his character the whole way. Where he's supposed to be the golden boy, but he can't do a promo the best, but he's pretty good in the ring. And then seeing him getting replaced and feeling a bit despondent, but he's in love with this lady, and then with all this stuff going on and this idea of a curse, and one brother dies, and then another brother who didn't want to be he didn't want to be a wrestler, and I think in reality that's true. He wanted to be a drummer. He wanted to be a rock band. I'm not sure specifically a drummer, but I guess not a specific drummer, but he wanted to do music. Play the guitar. He does play a guitar in the movie. He wanted to do that instead. But his father's like, come on, you need to bulk up. So he's doing it, but he gets hurt. And then they do some surgery, and there's a mess up. And his mind got fucked up. You tell he's mentally not there. But again, that's why it felt like there were gaps, and I wish there was a bit more of maybe the father kind of being nice, but also inadvertently putting him down, or other people's he I don't know, some other conversations the guy might have had, other than he tells his mom, "I'm not David. People think I'm David." I'm like, well, we really haven't heard people say they wanted to be like David. We just know it because you said it. It felt like there was a bit more meat to the bones to put onto this stuff. That's what I mean. That I think this would have benefited if it was a longer movie or again a mini series. I think that would have been more of a benefit. I almost want to say this is like the Cliff Notes version of the story. It's still good, fairly good, but like I said, I think if it wasn't the Cliff Notes, it was more of the whole package. I think it would have been even more of a fantastic movie. As is, it's a pretty damn good movie. But yeah, I said following Kevin Von Erich, following Zac Efron's character, where this stuff is going on and he doesn't know how to handle it. He doesn't want to affect his livelihood at home, so he'll like go to the gym and sleep there. And Terry Von Erich, you see the pain he goes through and putting this prosthesis on, because you gotta understand it's gonna be digging into his wound of his foot, and you see the pain he goes through. And Kevin's like, God, this keeps happening, and you kind of put yourself in his place. You go, what the fuck would you do? This weird series of situations where your one brother died of, they say, ruptured intestine in Japan. Although, if I understand, there's some, it's not in the movie, but people say maybe there was drug use there, but that's not said in the movie. But then again, you got one brother might ending his life because I'm not good enough to be David. I don't want to. I'm mentally not there. And then Terry Von Erich, which that one there's like a huge gap after the death of Mike, where now all of a sudden he had one kid. Now Kevin has two kids, and Terry Von Erich has been in the WWF as the Texas Tornado. And I guess because it is Kevin Von Erich's story, we never see Terry Von Erich in the WWF except a little bit on TV. And this is what I mean. It would have been nice to see more of the different sides of the other brothers, and to be the Von Erich story, not just the Kevin Von Erich story, but to see the others. Like, how was Terry in the WWF and that whole side, and a bit more David, what he was in the ring and what his life was. Because that way you don't really get a sense of who Terry and David were in their own personal lives. But I guess, again, if you try to do that with all these characters, it'd be, again, a much longer movie. I keep harping back and repeating on Zac Efron. When like stuff's going on, there's a bit where he's in the ring and he's just running the ropes. And you see he's getting more angry and more angry. And he's running faster, faster, faster on the ropes. Without saying anything, we get the idea of just how pissed off he's getting. And then at one point he has a match with Ric Flair, fucking awful Ric Flair. And this I was confused. Maybe someone can explain this to me. He's doing a match where he's doing the Iron Claw, and it seems like a shoot where he's going too far and he gets disqualified. And then the father and Terry are saying, what happened out there? But then Ric Flair comes in and goes, whew, that was great. I didn't know you had it in here. I didn't know you had it in you. Man, whew, that was good. Want to go out for some drinks? And I'm like, so that was meant to happen? But they're acting like it wasn't meant to happen? Like Terry and the way Kevin's thinking and the dad is like act as if that wasn't supposed to happen. But Ric Flair's acting that like that was supposed to happen. So was it or was not? I'm a bit confused. Was it not supposed to happen, or was it supposed to happen, or I don't know, like, and like try to be both, but it doesn't make sense if it's both. If someone can explain that to me, I would love to know. Dude, I was confused. But I said I think the real life story really brought the element of emotion to this, and like I said, some of the directing choices, some of the in a way the subtlety, the quiet moments. In particular, like there's a bit spoilers where Terry calls Kevin and saying how he's on the edge there, and Kevin tells him, "Just come home, man. Just come home to us." Hey, where are you? Doesn't answer. Edwards gets there, too late. Here's the gunshot. And in the movie, Kevin's so pissed off at his dad, he's ready to strangle his dad. You weren't there for him. Because he does call his dad after. It's like, hey, well, can you check up on Terry? And the dad goes, well, that's between you two kids. That's between you two sons. Even the mother, earlier on, where Kevin's like, hey, I think Dad's being too tough on Mike. Well, that's between those two. So you tell that the parents just were... They love their kids, but they're just, to be terrible parents, where they just emotionally distant, especially the mom. And they have a lot more care and a lot more heart-to-heart talk, maybe could have prevented some of this stuff. I think what got me was what really put it over the edge for me for the film was the ending of the movie, where on one end you see kind of the brothers' version of heaven, where Kevin sees his brothers David and Mike, and then the little Jack Jr., and they're all in like heaven and they're hugging each other. And then it's sometime later, and Kevin is talking with his two boys, and the two boys see his dad crying. And the two kids go up to him. They go, Dad, why are you crying? How come you're sad? Oh, I just see you two playing, and it reminds me of my brothers. And I know Kevin has said this in real life, not in this particular bit. He said it somewhere else. He says the line, I used to be a brother. And that line, and the way Zac said it, and then the kid's like, we'll be your brother's dad. That got me misty, I will say. That did still did a little bit misty. Just really, if anything else, comes to the focus of how brutal it must be for that guy. Where, I mean, in reality, technically, he had five brothers. Think about that. Technically, if Jack Jr. survived, it would have been 6 kids. 5 of them are dead. 4 of them, at least 4 of them, are from ending their own life. Again, the one David, some say drugs, or don't know for sure. How the hell do you even wrap your brain around that? And that's a gut punch. I thought a movie that could create that bit of a gut punch in me means it must have done it pretty damn effective. And except the reflection, They should have cast someone else. Cast Jay Lethal. He does a good Ric Flair. Granted, he's black, but I still would rather see him as Ric Flair than the guy they had here. Hell, we got. But yeah, this I did like. Pretty damn good flick. Yeah, I wish it was longer. I wish some of the gaps, like more conversation between Kevin and Terry, or Kevin and David. A little bit more of Terry, to see him in WWF and the Texas Tornado and what's going on with it. Like, see more of the story. That would have been nice to see. Like I said, that would have required a longer film, but and yeah, that reflects you. Can't get over how fucking bad the guy is. Woo wings. But with that said, I definitely recommend it, and we'll see you guys later. Bye bye.